This episode of MicroCosmos is dedicated to the memory of John Glenn. John Herschel Glenn Jr., born on July 18th of 1921, had a lifelong interest in flight. During World War II, he fought 59 combat missions in a Corsair fighter plane. After the war, in 1952, he was ordered to South Korea. This time he was to fight with the jet plane, the F-9F Panther. In this craft, he flew 63 combat missions before the war was over. In peacetime, John grew bored with his desk job, and he applied for flight testing training so he could become a test pilot. He almost died during his first assignment testing the FJ-3 Fury, a Navy version of the F-86 Sabre. During flight, the cockpit depressurized and the oxygen system failed. Then, from 1956 to 1959, he went to the University of Maryland. At the same time, he was also assigned to the Fighter Design Branch of the Navy Bureau of Aeronautics. On July 16, 1957, he completed the first supersonic transcontinental flight as a publicity stunt from NAS Los Alamitos, California to Floyd Bennett Field, New York, in a record 3.5 hours. For this, he got his 5th Distinguished Flying Cross. By this time, he had nearly 9,000 hours of flying time, almost 3,000 of which were in jets. In the early days of the Mercury program, Glenn helped with the design of the capsule, as well as doing some early testing on a spaceflight simulator and a centrifuge. Then, in February of 1962, he became the first American to orbit the Earth.
9, 8, 7, 6, 5, I will have to make a manual 05T entry when it occurs and bring the scope in manually. Is that affirmed? That is affirmative. Roger. Main chute is on green. Chute is out in reach condition at 10,800 feet and beautiful chute.
After his orbital mission, John Glenn resigned from NASA in 1964. He was already 42 years of age, and that made his candidacy for the Apollo missions rather unlikely. Instead, he set his sights on becoming a politician. After announcing his candidacy for a senator running on the Democrats' ticket, he had to bow out of his first race due to a case of vertigo that was so bad he could barely move his head without becoming nauseated. He went on to run again and win his race. It is said that his blunt honesty made him very out of place amongst politicians. Mr. Glenn, however, could just not stay away from space. According to the New York Times, Glenn won his seat in the shuttle flight by lobbying NASA for 2 years to fly as a human guinea pig for geriatric studies. On January 16, 1998, it was announced that Glenn would become the oldest person to fly in space as a part of the STS-95 crew. He would be 77 years old at launch. The main focus of his mission was, you guessed it, geriatric studies in human spaceflight. Things like his immune system, his changes in heart functionality, and protein turnover were focuses of the mission. He then returned from his successful mission to retirement. Thank you, John Glenn, for rising to the task that so many wish to achieve, but so few are given the chance.